Don't sleep in your contacts. That's the moral of this video. Gonna be in the OR with the Retina fellow. We have 2 cases that I just looked up what we're gonna be doing exactly, kind of in detail. And then in the afternoon we have lasers, retina lasers that I will be doing by myself. And after that, I'm gonna come home and gonna try to do a little bit of research around a surgical instrument that I'm trying to develop and get it manufactured. I need to do some more research on that. Anyways, I'm gonna take you guys along with me, day in the life, ophthalmology resident on the retina rotation, just to show you what it's like. Let's go. All right, so we're gonna head in and get to the OR here. And then we'll get the first patient ready to go back and go to surgery. And that first case is going to be a non-clearing vitreous hemorrhage with a possible retinal detachment, like a tractional retinal detachment underneath that was shown on the ultrasound. So we'll remove the blood and then just kind of see. Alright, so just got to the ambulatory surgery center. I'm gonna head in and get patients ready to go back. So the first patient actually didn't come for whatever reason. We couldn't get in touch with them. So they were gonna be a vitreous hemorrhage, PPV, vitrectomy for vitreous hemorrhage, basically from diabetic retinopathy. And the second patient is here early, so we're gonna go ahead and do them, which actually should be a more interesting case because it's also a vitreous hemorrhage, but possibly due to a underlying tear in the retina. So the optometrist thought they saw a horseshoe tear with adjacent hemorrhage, and then that worsened to the point by the time they got to the retina clinic. So today we'll go in, remove the blood, and see if there's a tear in the retina. So there wasn't actually a tear underneath the vitreous hemorrhage when we removed the blood, but what there was a area of neovascularization that was likely due to a retinal vein occlusion, just by the looks of, there was one vein in the retina that was not perfused that was probably what had caused ischemia to the retina, and then neovascularization, and then the vitreous hemorrhage. So he'll ultimately need an FA so we can better kind of delineate exactly the extent of the ischemia, and if there is a vein occlusion there, like we think is likely the case. And then we can add in some laser, some PRP to that area of ischemia so that it doesn't continue to cause neovascularization and proliferation, and basically so it won't bleed again. So that'll be the next step. Once he kind of recovers from the vitrectomy for the vitreous hemorrhage, we can get the FA and then add laser as needed. So anyways, it's kind of like a surprise, like what is hiding under the vitreous hemorrhage, what is causing it. Because the other eye really didn't have like diabetic retinopathy, he didn't have any like stigmata of any vasoproliferative disease in his other eye. So it was most likely going to be either in neovascularization from a vein occlusion, or like ocular ischemic syndrome, or a tear. So it ended up being likely a vein occlusion. So kind of interesting, quick case. Anyways, I'm gonna go get something to eat. All right, so I had a minute to actually come home since that first case was canceled, and we didn't actually do it. I had a second to come home and change into some other scrubs, and I have lasers this afternoon, but I still have a little bit of time before those actually start. So I'm going to go get something to eat and work on one of my side projects on developing a surgical instrument for a certain type of oculoplastic surgery. So I'm going to work on that and try to find some manufacturers who can help me make a second prototype. I already have a prototype sitting over there on my bookshelf, but I can't show it to you because I don't have a patent on it yet. But I'm going to try to find someone who can help me make a slightly better version of the initial prototype I made. And there's Mindy Pickles. Hello, Mindy Pickles. Anyways, so let's go do that. Let's eat, let's work on the prototype, and then we have lasers starting at, I think, 12:30. I only have 5 this afternoon, and they will mostly be PRP for diabetic retinopathy, which is what that clinic is. So we will do those. We'll see if everybody comes. I had laser clinic all day on Monday, and I ended up doing like 9 out of the 12. I think 3 people didn't show up. So it was a fairly busy day, not too bad though. It's still done by like 3 o'clock, so not bad at all. So anyways, let's go do that. I just left eating lunch and working on my product. I was actually able to find a manufacturing company that can send me a prototype, a second prototype, for my instrument, and hopefully it'll be a little more robust, a little more in line with what I'm looking for. And then if it works out, then we can buy it. So we can actually have it made and sent to us, not as a prototype. But anyways, so I'm pretty happy with that. I'm glad I was able to find somebody. So successful lunch. We had an omelet as well. So anyways, I'm gonna head in here shortly to do some lasers as soon as the patients start showing up. The first one's at 12, so I'll head in once they're arrived at the clinic. The nice thing is I can actually just check on my phone and see when they are in clinic, when they've arrived and that kind of thing. So I can see when they've been dilated and when they're actually ready for me. All right, so I've already looked the first patient up on my phone, and they have diabetic retinopathy, proliferative diabetic retinopathy. We've already done a fair amount of laser in both eyes, but they have rebled in one eye, vitreous hemorrhage, had an injection at the last visit, and then gonna try to put some more laser, possibly in both eyes today if there's room, and if that vitreous hemorrhage is cleared up some after giving an Avastin. If it has not cleared up, then we may have to send the patient to the Retina clinic, which is for like surgical sign-ups to do like a vitrectomy to remove the blood if it's not going to clear on its own. Sometimes it clears, sometimes it doesn't. I'll have to look and see if she's already had a vitrectomy in that eye for vitreous hemorrhage, because that make it easier to clear if she has had it, but we'll see. Oh, and the other cool thing about Thursday afternoons, which I do my laser in the same area that the plastics fellows have their clinic, like the resident run plastics clinics, and there's a fellow in there that kind of helps them out. So if they have any cases and I can get done with this laser, these lasers quickly enough, maybe I can help them out on some of the plastics cases, or at least watch, which would be fun. So we'll see what's going on in the clinic. It's kind of just everybody's in one big clinic. Like there's the general clinic, which, you know, it's split up between like 4 first-year residents and 1 second-year resident, and they're seeing, you know, right now it's not that many patients. Like there's, I think, like 60-ish a day right now, which because they've just been there for a couple weeks, so they're not super fast just yet. But as the year goes on, that clinic can get up, you know, upwards of like 120 plus patients a day, split between 5 people. And oftentimes at the end of the day, it'll be behind, so we'll have to call in other residents to like come help that clinic finish, basically. But all in the same area. So you have that general clinic going on, and then we have the surgery chief clinic, which is basically like cataract sign-up clinic. So one guy is one third-year or PGY 4 resident is signing up cataracts, and he'll see, you know, 20 plus patients a day. There'll be a handful of post-ops, handful of sign-ups, and a handful of YAG capsulotomies that he'll do. And then like at any point during the day, there'll be other subspecialties also doing clinic in the same area. So today, the afternoon is plastics. The morning, I'm not sure what subspecialty was there this morning, if there was one or not. But anyways, it's always like a lot of activity going on in this clinic. It's always super busy, super packed with people. We normally run out of places for people to sit. There's just so many patients. They end up just kind of filling the hallways. Right now it's not as bad because it's down booked for the start of the year and then the pandemic. But normally it's just such a busy clinic. Like, it's nothing you've ever seen, probably. It's just insanely busy. But anyways, my responsibility for today is just retina lasers, which is not bad. And I actually kind of like lasers. A lot of people hate them because they are kind of, you know, mind-numbing, but I don't mind it. It's kind of satisfying to know if you can get in good laser, good PRP early, then you can pretty much stave off a lot of really terrible complications like tractional retinal detachments, vitreous hemorrhage, things like that. So if you can catch somebody relatively early when they have either like severe non-proliferative disease or early proliferative disease before it's gotten bad, you can actually like really make a huge impact if you can get good laser in those eyes. That's probably one of the most important things we do for people in this clinic, is just getting good laser in their eyes. So it is a little bit satisfying if you can do it before anything really bad has happened. Alright, so heading in now to do these lasers. I have one of these surgical masks because it has the sticky right here under the nose, and that kind of lets me not fog up my glasses, well, or the oculars really, because when you breathe all that air goes up and it just fogs it up and I can't see anything. So it's kind of nice having the sticky right here. You can use tape too, that works, but I like these better. I think the best part about the retina rotation for me is it's pretty independent, and so I kind of just come in, I do my lasers. You know, I'm not really being micromanaged by anybody. I kind of know what to do at this point, and I can do it. So it's almost kind of like just practicing. You know, I'm not having to like be told what to do or anything like that. So kind of doing my own thing, and I actually really like that. So, this is the Argon Laser that I normally use because it's hooked up from here to the indirect, which I prefer to use because it's faster and easier if they can tolerate it. And I think maybe it works a little better than Pascal. And then this is the slit lamp. Also, you can connect this to the Argon Laser and you can do slit lamp PRP here. I normally will just do the indirects. Or if I am going to use the actual slit lamp, I'll just use the Pascal laser. And so this is the Pascal we have. So I really like this because you can actually set the pattern of the laser. That's basically what is a pattern scanning laser. It's a different grid things and all that. So another thing, I like to laser without my shoes on. I have my cool T-Rex socks or Velociraptor. But anyways, I feel like I can just kind of manipulate the foot pedal a little better if I use my toes rather than trying to use my entire foot. I just like the feel. So I just feel like I have better control if I'm not wearing shoes because I can pull off that pedal with my toe. I just use my toe for the laser because they look around a lot, and if they look at the laser at the wrong second, you could just laser right into their macula and then have a scotoma. And so I just like being able to get off that pedal quickly if I need to, which I feel like it's easier if I'm not wearing shoes. I'm gonna pull back the first patient, just pulling up her chart right now, kind of get a more detailed understanding of the history, exactly where we need to put the laser. I'll know more after I actually examine her eyes, so we'll see here in just a minute. Before I brought back the first patient, the nurse told me that the second patient's pressure in the right eye was 55. Also has proliferative diabetic retinopathy, so it's probably neovascular glaucoma. I'm going to pull him back first, go ahead and start rounds of drops. See if there's NVI, neovascularization on the iris, because if there is, you'll probably need another Avastin. We'll try to get the pressure down, and we'll go ahead and get that started before we do the other patient's laser. Alright, so that patient who was supposed to be my second patient of the laser clinic, The nurse came and told me basically that his pressure was like in the 50s. So I went ahead and saw him first because I figured it was probably neovascular glaucoma from him having missed a few appointments and not being seen for a few months. Because he did have proliferative diabetic retinopathy, and unfortunately he did have neovascular glaucoma. There was fine kind of neovascularization on the pupillary border, and then a lot of blood within the angle in the front part of the eye. So that's why the pressure was so high. But at least the angle was open. And I was actually able to go ahead and do some laser in his other eye, and then we tried to bring the pressure down with drops and Diamox in clinic. It came down some, from like the 60s into the 40s, but not all the way, and so had to do an anterior chamber paracentesis to bring the pressure down to a more normal range and start him on max drops and recheck the pressure tomorrow. And then also gave an Avastin in that eye to help the neovascularization and the angle regress. So unexpected to just show up in laser clinic like that, but not entirely unexpected. Doesn't happen that infrequently. Anyways, and then I had one more patient who was my first patient who I cycled back to here for PRP, more laser in both eyes from diabetic retinopathy, and I was able to fill in a good amount for her, so that should hopefully stave off any issues like the first patient who had the neovascular glaucoma had. So only 2 of the 5 patients came this afternoon, which is unfortunate because they really need this laser. But anyways, we helped out the glaucoma folks, see some of their patients, and then that was pretty much the end of clinic. And so it's roughly like 4 now. So clinic's pretty much done. Gonna go home. So to show you kind of what I'm talking about with this laser, I have this little eye model. So it's like a cross section here. And by the way, when we take out a cataract, we're taking out the lens. So the lens is sitting right behind the colored part of the iris. That's the lens. We take that out and we put in an artificial one that's clear and it's specific for your eye and for your prescription so that the light falls on the retina. But anyways, for this laser, basically what I'm doing is just putting little dots of laser all around the peripheral part of the retina. The retina is the orange part. It's the back inside lining. It's the back inside lining of the eye. So you can see it's like a very thin little layer here. If this is the wall of the eye, just the inside layer is the retina. And that's the area that I'm lasering. So I'm just putting little dots of laser all out here in the periphery of it. And the reason for that is because this retina is dying. It's partially dead. And most of the time, you know, it's due to diabetes because the blood vessels go bad in diabetes. So you're not getting good oxygen to the retina. It starts dying. It starts calling out for help, for more blood vessels to bring oxygen to it because it's not getting good oxygen. Those blood vessels don't grow properly. They tend to leak and bleed, and that's the neovascularization that I was talking about earlier. And those blood vessels can form like membranes and scar tissue. And like on our first patient with the super high pressure, they can even grow into this angle of the eye here. So this is the drainage angle of the eye here, like the trabecular meshwork. That's where the fluid is drained out. So you have this ciliary body making fluid in the eye, this angle draining it out here. And so if it can't drain out fast enough and this is still making fluid, the pressure is going to go up. So what happens is in these diabetic patients is this retina is dying. It's partially dead. It calls out for new blood vessels to bring it oxygen. Those are bad aberrant blood vessels and they grow in the wrong places. One of those places is the drainage angle here in the corner. And when that happens, you form scar tissue and a little membrane. Scar tissue likes to contract, so it closes, it contracts closed, and it tightens this angle down, it closes it. So the fluid in your eye cannot drain out. So that's what happened to our first patient is he had neovascular glaucoma. So neo is new vessels causing glaucoma. So that basically closes the drainage angle there. For him, the angle actually looked fairly open, so it might have just been a component of having heme, like blood in the angle there from those bad blood vessels, and kind of clogging it up. But anyways, what I'm doing with that laser is going ahead and just killing off that partially dead retina by blasting it with pan-retinal photocoagulation. So pan-retinal means whole retina, and we're photocoagulating, so using light to actually coagulate or burn the tissue. So I'm just putting little dots of laser all throughout the peripheral retina here. That will go ahead and kill that partially dead retina so that it quits calling out for help, it quits calling out for a new blood supply, and it will make it so those bad blood vessels, those neovascularization, it won't grow basically and cause those issues. So that's the point of doing laser in the eye. That's basically what I'm doing for these diabetic patients. Hopefully that makes sense.
Alright, when I finally decide to quit being the world's biggest nerd and sitting in clinic alone, lecturing about PRP, I finally go home and then head out to the pool because I really like just being in the pool and swimming around. I don't know, it's one of my favorite things, and my apartment has 2 pools, so I spend a lot of time out here and swim multiple times a day. I'll actually probably swim again later tonight.
Alright, so I'm actually gonna film a couple YouTube videos right now. I'm making one on cataracts, just basic cataracts, you know, for kind of the general population, not really geared toward ophthalmologists or medical people anyways, just kind of the general population. Then I made one video on vitreous detachments because my mom asked me to for one of her friends, and so I'm happy to do that. I think it's a great video idea, so I made that video. I still have to edit it. But let me show you kind of the setup that I have. I was just filming everything on my iPhone, but I got this Sony a6400 and this Sigma 16mm lens. I like it. It has a little flip-up camera, and then I attach it to a Rode Video Mic Pro Plus. Is that what it's called? That's what it's called. And then I have kind of, you know, my backdrop here, my little light, my plants, my gemstone, my other plant, my little globe that spins, and my fancy light bulb. And I'm actually working on setting up this little station here to do a podcast. I'm going to start a podcast kind of geared around medicine, ophthalmology, and, you know, have people on it from different, you know, not just ophthalmology subspecialties, but also just medical specialties, to kind of give you like an idea of like behind the scenes, like what medical people actually go through. Because it's not what most people think, I feel like. And so we'll get into some heavy things on there, maybe even the darker sides of medicine. We'll see. I don't know what the podcast is going to go into, but I want to start one. I like to do batch kind of work, batch filming. If you read like any of Tim Ferriss's stuff, he talks about working and like doing things in batches, basically. So like similar types of work, if you can group them together and do a lot of it at once, I think it's the best way. You can do it with emails, where you don't just look at your email throughout the entire day. You know, you sit down at, you know, for 30 minutes a day and you just do all the emails. You don't look at it again. Or you can even do that over the course of like a couple days. So you like do all your emails for 2 days and you don't look at it again for 2 days. It just depends on you. But I like to kind of apply this with the YouTube setup. So like I'll do like batch work if I can. So I'll film, you know, a few videos together, and then later I will edit a few videos. So it's easier than me like filming a video, editing a video, posting a video. It's easier if I just film 4 videos and then I can kind of edit those over the course of the next like days to weeks, and it's just easier and you can be more productive basically if you do that kind of batch working. Okay, I'm gonna go work out, then I'm gonna swim. So I have some new contacts coming in the mail, and I'm really looking forward to getting them. I went through like an entire year period where I stopped wearing contacts because of all the horrible corneal ulcers that I was seeing in our county clinic and in the ER on call. It's just like horrible, atrocious things, just eating people's eye away, basically, from not wearing their contacts right. Basically terrified me. Because before I ever got into ophthalmology, I used to wear contacts, and I would put them in like cups of water when I didn't have solution, all kinds of stupid stuff because I was an idiot and didn't know any better. So it's surprising to me that I did not get some terrible infection from that, like acanthamoeba. But anyways, I've gradually gotten back into wearing contacts, so anyways, they're on their way. I'm just like super careful now with the actual hygiene of the contacts, like using the hydrogen peroxide solution. I rinse them in Opti-Free solution before I wear them, change the case frequently. I'm just like super paranoid about it now because of the things that I've seen. So don't sleep in your contacts. That's the moral of this video. So I like to listen to audiobooks while I'm working out and just basically doing anything that doesn't require too much brain power. The one I'm listening to right now is called Make Time. It was a recommendation by Ali Abdal on his YouTube channel. I think he has pretty good book recommendations, and they kind of fit into like the genre of nonfiction that I like. I'll link the book down below if you're interested. I'm only a little ways into it, but it's pretty good so far. But that's the one I'm going through. I listen to these pretty fast, like at least 1.5, 2x speed if I can, which a lot of people like think is stupid, that you can't take anything out of it, but I feel like you can kind of train your brain to do anything, and so you can train your brain to listen faster. It's probably why I talk so fast, and people will say things in the comments, but whatever. So yeah, trying to listen to more books by listening to them faster. All right, so I like to swim after I work out, and I like to swim at night because nobody else is out here, and just like the gym, when I work out late, get the whole thing to myself basically, so I get the whole pool to myself. I stay out here and I listen to audiobooks on these little headphones because they're waterproof, so it's okay if I drop them in. Unlike when I dropped my AirPods in the water, I had to leave them in a thing of rice for a week, so I don't worry about these. And I just swim around, listen to my audiobooks, and until I get tired of it or get bitten by mosquitoes. So that's what I do. Probably stay out here for another 20 minutes.
After swimming, I'll head inside and maybe cook something to eat. Tonight, it's going to be scallops and vegetables. And after I get done eating, I'm going to go to bed, maybe study a little bit. But that's pretty much my whole day as a resident on the Retina rotation. Hope you guys enjoyed it, following along with me. I'm Zach with Dr. Eyeball MD, and I will see you guys in the next video.